Hello and welcome to Dad and Sons, a train wreck.
Nice improvisation there, George.
Yeah.
I'm George Weedman. I'm here with those two friends of mine that you just heard, Liam Edwards.
Hello.
And Matt Visual.
Hey, if you're new, this is your first episode. We talk about, what do we talk about on this show?
I don't know, but you'd think after 73 episodes we would be at least sort of semi-professional.
We really need to nail that. We can't be one of those podcasts where we just like do inside jokes for 2 hours and
Oh no.
To be fair, we don't.
We thought about this problem ahead of time, and
Yes.
This week we're rolling out a new feature, a new audience participation segment that we're going to front load in some episodes every other week or so, in which basically we're going to just rapid response through a bunch of Twitter replies to a panicked assumption over what should be filling up our time in the beginning here.
It's weird because we were like wondering how this would go, but it seems that our tweet got like 150 plus replies, so we're not going to go through 150 of them, but we'll try.
All right, you guys ready for this? I'm going to start reading down replies.
Let's rock and roll.
All right. Oh God.
Okay, for listeners who are unaware, last night, just before I went to bed, which meant just before waking up and recording this podcast, I asked Twitter, quick Twitter, think fast, reply with what you want us to talk about on the podcast tomorrow. Okay, you guys ready?
Yes.
First response, me.
Wait, you?
Second response, naked men.
Oh, okay. Well, we can talk about the gym again.
I think we should read the people's names, right?
Third response, by Milo. This, please, with a link to the play date. Which, actually, yeah, we will be talking about that in the news section.
We will. You need to slow down here, George.
Griffin Melson says, Carly Rae Jepsen's new album.
Not heard it.
Not heard it.
Jack Havoc says, backwards compatibility.
With what?
Lex says, the environmental politics of Final Fantasy VII.
What?
Sephiroth did nothing wrong.
Wishes for Fishes says, video games.
Equal good times.
I'm sure it is a video essay of Final Fantasy VII's environmental problem.
Oh, yeah, no. Like,
I'm also sure there's a video essay that just says video games, ?
Yeah. There's a video essay for everything, because that's like the new thing now.
I've noticed that Final Fantasy VII's environmental politics seems to be a hot topic on Twitter these days. It's funny having a blast from 1997 just hit me in the face again, but it's used as like fodder for the whether or not games can be political debate, you know?
I'm sorry, can we just go back to what you just said? No, having a blast from 97.
You ever, like, rifle through some old childhood belongings and you find a juice box of Tang from 1997 and you're a little curious as to what it tastes like?
What is Tang?
You don't know what Tang is?
I have no idea what Tang is.
All right, let's get something straight.
Yeah.
Tang was better than Kool-Aid. Okay? I'm just going to go
be
ahead and
fair,
say that.
I'll let you in on a little secret, guys.
Yeah.
I don't really know what Kool-Aid is either.
Whoa.
It's sugar inside of water.
I can guess what it is. I've seen it in enough like in-joke media.
It's powdered drinks. Basically. You put the powder in the water, and for Kool-Aid you had to add sugar.
Water.
Yeah. And it would make juice out of your water. So it was like a cheap way to have juice as a kid. Massive amounts of juice.
I didn't have a lot of Jewish friends growing up, come to think of it.
So I always wondered why the Kool-Aid man was a jug.
Yes. So he was pre-powdered, the Kool-Aid man.
Because I always wondered why he was a jug. I was like, does everybody just pour the soda out of a can into a jug for like some unknown reason?
No.
Back to Twitter, George.
Oh shit. Cass Fireborn says devs who get mad at the user base for playing their game wrong.
Wait. Who is the powder for the Kool-Aid? Is that another character?
No, but that's what I'm wondering. Is that actually the Kool-Aid?
Is that another character that we just didn't get to see?
What was it like having people play your game and they didn't do it right?
It's frustrating, but you know, that's your fault as a designer, I guess.
Well, it's also it's a very much expected part of the playtesting process to like basically set yourself up for players to be like, oh, you're doing something I wasn't expecting to.
Oh, good, yeah. Like,
Yeah.
no matter which ways you test or play something, people will freaking find new ways to play, like, within 20 minutes of you releasing something. It just happens. But to get frustrated at that is a bad idea.
Connor with Thanos says, you could talk about your personal stupid idea for video game cinematic universes.
Damn it.
You got a cinematic universe idea, Liam?
Can we have, like, do you know how, like, Jump Force took place in, like, real-world Manhattan?
It did?
You know, well, kind of. It was, like, realistic anime graphics, wasn't it? Jump Force looked really weird, right?
Yeah, like a Sonic in real life.
Imagine the Yakuza version of Japan,
Yeah.
but with Smash Brothers.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Yeah, I could.
Wait, what?
I could see it. I could see it.
Wait, what?
Imagine, like, a really gritty-looking Pikachu. Oh, wait, it's already out there.
And the Yakuza, the Tokyo as depicted in the Yakuza games, like a little quirky, a little fun.
Exactly. Imagine, like, you know, Kazuma Kiryu, like, punching the shit out of, like, Dr. Mario.
It's like a cute kind of gritty.
I still think it should go for, like, disgusting Jump Force-esque graphics, though, just to make it weird.
Video game cinematic universe. You know what? We made a battle royale out of Tetris. Let's make a cinematic universe out of Tetris next.
No.
Aren't they making a Tetris movie anyway?
They are, and I think for a chunk of a couple months, it was actually planned to be a trilogy.
Oh my god. It has a lot to live up to, considering the best Tetris sketch ever is that College Humor one.
Nomi says butts.
Well,
Yeah, okay.
I like all kinds of butts, to be honest. Yeah.
I've seen George's butt. Wait, what?
Wait, did I
what?
have my butt out in your house? Come to think of it.
I don't think you had your full butt out.
I'm a little jealous.
You sure had, like, no jeans butt out.
Were you tempted to grab, Liam?
I think I remember changing pants at one point, but I don't ever remember lowering boxers below like the upper crack. The upper crackle region is something I keep to myself usually.
The crackle region. Like it's its own country. You must not enter Upper Crackle region. You are barred from entry.
Space Channel Dome says Team Sonic Racing is oddly enjoyable.
Cool. I kind of am interested to play it. I liked what was the not the second one, the first one. The second one was the one that had
Sonic All Stars Racing Transmorgified.
No, not Transformed. I didn't get on with Transformed. I liked the first one though. It was a nice surprise. I wonder if this one's any good.
Well, the one like question I have about that tweet is it being oddly enjoyable, because even though like Transformed is, they're still all fine. Like
It's oddly enjoyable because it's a Sonic game.
yeah, I was just about to say, because of all the Sonic games out there, the kart racers are the ones that have been reliably fun.
Yeah. Good old Sonic team. Terrible at everything but kart racing now.
Ooh, Chance Minyard asks, what will it take for mobile gaming to be taken seriously in Western countries like it is in many Eastern ones?
Nah.
Matt, would it mean putting Pillars of Eternity on it?
Huh.
Path of Exile?
Oh, Path of Exile, not Pillars of Eternity. PoE.
PoE.
There's a lot of good games that started off there. Monument Valley, I'm pretty sure it started
True.
off on.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. Super Brothers, Sword and Sorcery. Like, I just don't think those games are really shouted out to, on the top of the rooftop.
It's because they released on other platforms and everybody was like, oh, I'm just going to play it here instead.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I think it was a while before it released on PC.
And one thing that you have in Asian countries is the trains and the public transit, and portable consoles have always been super popular over there, more so than places where you drive cars everywhere.
And yet the Switch, I rarely ever see one out in public.
Yo, I bring mine down to the gym still, and I love that thing. Anyways,
that's risky.
I was going to say, just the image of George riding the bus to go to the gym with his little Switch, turning up in a room full of swole-ass men, and George just sneakily putting his Switch away.
like Cloud at the spa. Oh shit! Dr. Swoo says anime titty.
Just one.
We had that episode.
Aging Foreigner says historical accuracies in Guild Wars 2.
Matt? Complete silence.
Don't know. That's more of a question for the lore guy. To be honest, I remember Kantha being very inspired by Japan, but I don't know for the main juice. Yeah, I don't know any of that stuff, man. Go to winning potatoes.
Dan asks, do you scrunch or fold toilet paper?
A bit of both.
What?
I fold. I definitely fold.
Wait, I'm confused because toilet paper comes in a roll. What are you folding it for?
Oh,
What, you fold it over?
see, all right. So it depends on how much padding you like. See, I don't like it to tear while I'm pushing it into my
you
ass.
don't want your finger to
Oh, I get it.
Like if you buy cheap brand toilet paper and you don't pad that enough, your finger is going right in your anus.
That's what they're talking about. Yeah, okay. I prefer.
You don't want to do a whoops, you know?
I prefer the circular radial coverage of the scrunch myself.
Yeah, I'm a bit of both. I'm like a neat scrunch. I'm halfway in between.
I just never even realized it. Like, this is something I hadn't thought about before. I didn't even know what the question was until you guys had to clarify. But yeah, no, I'm a scruncher.
I tend to count the squares, you know, and it depends on what type of quality toilet paper I end up getting. Because sometimes I just forget. I'm like, which toilet paper do I get? And then I get it and like, no, this is the cheap guy.
You like to min-max it.
Yes.
Make sure that all your points are optimized.
Yes.
See, if you live in Japan, you rarely even need it.
Oh, you have the thing that shoots into your ass, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The NVIDIA Ass Blaster GTX.
Instead of a finger, you just get water.
I don't understand because I don't know how it works. I've never had it. That it cleans everything and the water that it shoots into you is clean. I don't get that. And how wet your butt is. Like, I don't...
It comes from the sink.
No, that's the thing is, right? You end up using less toilet roll. You still use toilet roll because you have to wipe away the excess water, per se.
Right.
But you're pretty much as clean as a whistle. Cleaner than you ever would be
you
wiping
use
your own ass.
The toilet more for the water than the old meals.
Oh, God.
Next question.
What do you think the Quest and the Index, respectively, will do for the VR industry?
Quest will do amazing things.
Amazing.
I don't even know yet.
Well, the Quest just came out, released with some positive reviews. However, I am surprised that I'm not seeing a lot of people in gaming forums, like on /r Games and Reset Era, talking about it that much. That's weird. That's not what I expected.
But I have seen a lot of developers only be excited about the Quest, which means in the long run, I feel like the Quest is probably gonna be pretty big.
It might not be for the people who are on the forum.
Yes, which is usually why it might be successful.
Which is weird because it's what people have been asking for, right? Like a portable, cheaper, more polished VR console itself that's standalone. It seems like it's doing everything right. I just thought this would appeal to, the hardcore oppressed gamers more than it turns out to have. And it's weird because I'm still interested. I am more interested, I think, in the Oculus Quest and that Star Wars lightsaber game than I am in most other things going on right now.
I did see a video of the Valve Index today where the controllers have I don't know how the other ones work. You have to correct me if I'm wrong, but the Index controllers, you hold them like they're gripped around the middle of your palm.
Right.
And then if your fingers, you can completely release your fingers off them and it tracks where your fingers are and knows how extended your fingers are.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you can do closed grips and open grips, but the one-to-oneness of it was amazing.
So you can fiddle with handheld machines now. That's going to be really cool.
That's pretty
cool. Which are going to be guns.
If people want to see how that works, I would recommend going to the Node channel. It's the same guys who do they do all these CGI short films, like Freddie Wong.
Okay.
And they're the ones who created I think it was Junkyard Rats or something like that, a VR game where you're using the knuckles, the VR hand things, the controllers to grab a box and actually pull it towards you. It feels natural. That was the most ridiculous thing. Opening a box and pulling it next to you using your hands. And you're seeing your hands move in the VR game.
Nice.
I just, even in last gen, I remember how current gen VR on PlayStation VR on London Heist demo, they modeled your in-game hands so that they look like the pose your hand is holding the controller in real life in. And it's so surreal and satisfying looking at virtual hands that match up with your real hands. It's something that seems small, but turns out to have a lot of big gameplay potentiality and immersion boosting up because of it. It's gonna be exciting. I'm worried though that the interest from mainstream hardcore gamer crowds with lots of money to throw around is waning. That's my real concern, I guess, at this point.
Their game is called Boneworks and is on the Node channel.
Nice.
Just if people want
Boneworks.
to look that up. Yeah.
Oh, it's one of those VR games.
No wonder Matt's interested.
What do you mean? Oh, I didn't get it at first, but I quickly got up.
And Angelo Socaras says mouthfeel. What do you guys love to feel in your mouth?
Boneworks?
Ernesto says story time by Matt.
No story.
How about that leads us into what you've been doing this week, Matt?
Oh man, some John Wick, man. Anyone like stupid action movies?
I love garbage.
Yeah.
So is this number 3?
All right. I'm gonna say this without spoiling too much. The first section of it, I would say the first 40%, maybe 30% of the movie was like phenomenal. Like it's exactly what you want it to be. The first 2 fight scenes are just ridiculous. You had people in the theater saying, "Oh my God." Like it was gruesome. It was great. Then it slowed down really badly.
Oh no.
Yeah, and the fight scenes were just kind of okay from there. Kind of what you already see in Hollywood, which is boring to me. Because I don't like those type of fight scenes where it's just...
Did you say cutscenes?
I just said cutscenes. I don't like those type of fight scenes where it's just kind of like, oh, they're fighting. I like
It's rather video gamey.
I want the anime style, like, close-ups, and I love that. The impact, creating that nice impact of every move, other than like, I don't like that. That's why I usually go to watch like foreign films, because a lot of foreign films do that. I remember watching Untback, The Warrior. Yeah, there's like 3 of them.
Untback, my
Untback,
God,
remember that
film was so good.
Yeah, especially a guy who could do his own stunts and stuff.
Tony Jaa, right? That was his name. Wow, that film was amazing. What was the second one called?
I don't know.
It had that long shot where he runs up that staircase that goes up for like 6 floors, and he's fighting people the whole time, and it's one continuous shot.
Yeah.
And I remember they said it took them like 6 weeks to practice it, like the timing of all of the extras falling off of like the high elements of the stairs while he was like punching people through glass and shit like that. That is amazing.
Yeah.
Did you guys check out the games? John Wick Hex?
I saw that. I was like, oh, this looks weak.
That's Mike Bithel's game, right?
Yeah. Which is funny. I remember when I was playing through Super Hot VR, I constantly, in the back of my head, was like, they need to make a John Wick version of this. And for like such a fast... For fast, fun, like constantly flowing action movies, the format seems to adapt well to actual like slow turn-based gameplay, and it seems like something that would make sense in execution. But
yeah, wait, has it been reviewed? It's not even out yet. Yeah, no, the game's not out for a while. But Mike Bithell made a previous game called Volume, which was kind of like a Metal Gear Solid homage. That was all about stealth and stuff.
Which apparently had stuff from my videos inspiring it.
Oh,
nice. I do want to say from John Wick, I think they messed it up because it was obvious that they wanted to create a part 4. It was like too obvious. And
I need to rewatch 2 because I don't remember 2 very well.
I rewatched 2. It was great. It was great. And even 3, I would say some of the action scenes in the beginning were just even better. It was super great. But you can kind of tell it kind of drops off after that. But yeah, John Wick 3. I still think it's solid because I just like stupid action movies, and John Wick definitely does that.
And also, it's got Keanu Reeves in it.
Yes, you gotta like the man. He's not a crazy good actor, but you gotta like the man.
You gotta love the man.
You gotta love the man.
It must be weird being Keanu Reeves, because I don't think he expected to be an action star. Yeah,
do you think he thinks that? Do you think Keanu Reeves sits at home and he's like, do you know what? It's really weird to be me.
You've seen the picture of him just moping around in the park, right? Like that's the thoughts I imagine going through his head.
Don't you think some people think maybe it's really weird to be George Weidman?
I think that all the time.
Matt, do you think it's weird to be you?
It would probably, yeah. Just because, like, they would have to like deal with like taking all these pills and stuff like that. They're like, oh my god, like this is normal. I guess I should explain that.
What if they love pills?
No, maybe I should leave it vague. Oh yeah, lots of pills.
Oh yeah, Matt takes a lot of drugs.
A lot of drugs.
But yeah, Keanu Reeves like tries to be real positive and charitable and like socially and economically conscious, and he came from a rough background and like started out playing Bill and Ted and Little Buddha, and now he's like this gritty violence man action hero who seems like well aware of how young and popcorny the audience skews, but is still trying to make the best of it, and I feel like he might think he's in a weird position a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it's impossible to kind of know these dudes who, you know, have money, dudes. Like it's impossible to know what they go through or what they don't go through or how they're thinking, because
he's had
PR is great
for sure.
But there's so many videos of him online just being regular, like super regular. He just walks around like he doesn't
care. With his subway seat for that old lady. That's a nice one.
I was reading a article on The Guardian literally about Keanu Reeves talking about no matter how much money and fame he has, he still feels grief and loss over the stuff his family went through. He's real. He seems consciously aware of what money does to people and how to avoid that.
Yeah.
He just spends it on motorbikes, from what I hear. Which is like fair play.
For the effects crews, who are some of the most mistreated people in the industry, which I actually should have talked about in my unionization video, is how a lot of the newer industries of the VFX studios do not enjoy the same productions that production studios do, or protections that production studios do.
What have you guys been playing?
Well, just before we descend into that, because of course Dan Sons is predominantly a video game podcast. Supposedly, we've talked about toilets, butts, Keanu Reeves.
If this is your first episode, welcome to the podcast.
I can't tell if you mean ish is in like the relativity of it, or ish is in like censored rap slang for shit.
No, as in, I didn't even know that. Like, as in the relative terms to, we've almost gotten around to talking about video games. Before we leave the medias outside of video games, Matt, can we have just a small, brief chat?
Oh God!
About one of the most famous TV shows ending.
Oh no!
Ending this
small brief
past week.
Oh no! I feel so bad for you guys. Spoilers until 34 minutes and 18 seconds.
It just kind of came and went, to be honest.
It definitely did do that. And it's weird, because although I feel like the ending is okay, let me rephrase that. The conclusion of which everything comes to is okay. It's just the journey of which we got to that point throughout this season is just ridiculous.
I'm gonna say something. Those two guys can't write for anything. It's children writing.
But
They're
I just don't
children writing,
understand
dude.
how
What
it's got
did
to this
they?
point.
Did it do this on like I really don't get how it could be this bad when all the other seasons were fine. It wasn't like amazing, but it wasn't this. It wasn't this. The show was still good.
This has me worried about the books now. Like, how weird do you think George R.R. Martin thinks it is to be George R.R. Martin right now?
Oh man, he writes good stuff. There's no way that he likes this.
Feast for Crows is debatably shit.
Oh yeah. Well,
Oh god.
I mean, the book that this is based on. What about this? What about Game of Thrones? It's good, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. Don't get me wrong. A Song of Ice and Fire is fantastic, right? Just A Feast for Crows. That book in that series it bored me to tears. It's so bad.
But do you think? I mean, he's got to think that season 8 is garbage at least. Because it's I think the majority think season 8 is terrible. It's actually just terrible. Like it's like a child mindset, you know, like the whole thing where I'm gonna say a spoiler, but I mean, really,
oh yeah,
it doesn't really matter.
Warning.
Like the dragon burns the throne. You know, it's like, oh yeah, it makes sense, like what he's doing, but why is he doing it? Yeah, dragons are intelligent, right? But
I saw someone's like immense explanation for this. Either Drogon came along and realized that Daenerys had died and that it was all to do with the corruption of the Iron Throne, which in itself is like an allegory for the One Ring from Lord of the Rings, like being isolated and all that kind of stuff, right? Or he saw the metal sharp object poking out of Daenerys, the dagger, and then looked at the chair and saw like 1,000 pointy daggers and was like,
yeah.
It was the chair.
It was the chair. Yeah, I saw that comic. And I don't mean to say children as an insult. I mean to explain that it's very simple-minded. Like, oh, dragon, you know, melts the chair instead of killing Jon, you know, when he obviously looked at Jon. Why do that? Like, it's just weird. It's just weird. Like, oh, because she wanted power and blah blah blah. You know the whole thing. Like, I get it, but it still doesn't make sense. Like how we got there. Like, why not just grab her body and just go out the way the throne where the throne was and knock the throne off and let it fall and break or not break. I don't know, whatever. It falls. Like, wouldn't that make more sense? Like how that came to be? It would be like, okay, Drago wanted to go that way, you know, just because it was right in front of him or whatever. Or he knocked it off on purpose. It doesn't matter. You leave that open. Not him purposely doing the fire thing. I don't know. He could have done fire thing all over the place instead of trying to kill Jon because he knows Jon is a friend or whatever. And like it could have been so much different. There's so many things you could have done, just not what they did. You know, there's so many things. How can I think I can write the show? That's when you know it's bad. Just a regular dude.
But that's the thing is, I don't think, like, when you think of the conclusion of, like, Daenerys being corrupted by the betrayals of people and also the want to have the Iron Throne and then her then being stabbed by the person she loved and the true heir to the throne himself, and then that, like, if you said that was the ending of the entirety of A Song of Ice and Fire, you wouldn't really be like, that doesn't make any sense. It's just the way they
that's what they
there.
did though. It seems like they said, here's the story beats, here's the thin line, this is what's gonna happen, and they didn't connect it. They just made it happen.
It was almost like watching a clip show, you know, where it just fast forwards and it gives you highlights, like you're watching like a lore analysis of some YouTube video essay, and he's just like, and then Daenerys is stabbed by Jon, and then Jon and Tyrion go to prison, and then it ends.
Yeah.
Oh
well, yeah.
They had one more season, even just one more season. Use this season to like completely flesh out the Night King story and then move towards King's Landing. Have the final episode of this season be like the negotiation of Missandei. This season's big highlight is the fact that Missandei gets killed and Daenerys, in the next like few episodes of what would be season 9, descends slowly into madness. And then like the second to last episode is like the assault on King's Landing over a 2-episode thing with her going crazy, killing everything.
Cersei does not die.
And Cersei doesn't die the way she did. Her and Daenerys actually see each other, and then Daenerys is like, Dracarys! Kills her, and then you're like, oh shit, Daenerys is like pure evil now. And then Jon comes in, and like, they argue, and then the same thing happens, just a bit more fleshed. It would have been so much better.
Yeah. Yeah, it would have been so much better.
Wow.
And what is this? I can't imagine what this does to the novel writing process. Like, is being vindicative about how the show goes going to be part of that? Like, it feels like it would poison the well almost. Like, like I hate to say it, but almost like he should take even more years upon years to just like blow off the steam.
He said in the blog he wrote after it ended, he was sad that it ended, and they had decided to end it when they wanted to. He had known that they were going to end it after season 7 for a long time, but they pushed it to season 8. So he always knew that there was.
He said he could have gone like 11 seasons. He said,
yeah. But he said the ending of the show is the same, but not, but yes, but different. But yeah, there are definitely elements of whatever the ending is in the TV show that will make it into the books, but how that will play out, like you'll probably see, I think the same arc will happen with Daenerys, but you will just see it play out in a longer stretch of time, and it will make more sense, and you'll feel more hatred maybe towards Daenerys, and it will all make you feel better about how it comes to a head. But
yeah, so in that case, maybe there's now a drive to not straight up contradict the show, but like expand and justify the show. There's like influences in the process that weren't there before, is what I would imagine would be so confusing for the creator.
But this is the thing, there's no doubt that D&D, as people have affectionately and also pure hatred towards those guys now call them, they knew what the ending was going to be. Like, there's no way George didn't tell them elements of what the ending was going to be. He's not going to just be like, well, now you guys have to tie this all up by yourself. I wonder what you'll do. Because George was like executive producer for like, what, 5 seasons or something like that? So, even though the writing and the way the characters talk to each other and develop is down to the directors and the writers, the actual conclusion of the show is probably more similar in elements than we actually think it's going to be. I think a lot of people are hoping that the books will be at least 50% different. I actually think it'll probably only be like 25% different. It'll just be like that conclusion, but made a lot more sense.
And you know, we're talking crap and all that, but like, what I really want is to know why, because it's not good, and they gotta know it's not good. Unless they're dumb. So like years from now, somebody says something, either them D&D themselves or someone close. Say something. I want to know why.
Emilia Clarke has already sort of said that she was so angry that she just like disappeared for like 4 hours and went walking in the rain or something.
There will certainly be exposés.
The sad, tragic truth of the final season of Game of Thrones coming to you live.
Dude, you see her in interviews. She's every time she's asked, she's stoned. She's stoned. She's like, yeah, it's the best season.
No.
Yeah, it was bad. It was.
I'm very excited to be working on this project.
Yeah. Because of But yeah.
Well,
that's got. We got.
You got got by got?
We got got by got.
I'm sorry to hear that you got.
Games.
Games. I have one.
What have you been playing?
I wanted to give an update on my Breath of the Wild second run. I decided on my rules, okay? You guys ready?
Yes.
strip off your armor after the bosses, clean out all of your inventory that you can after the bosses, except for rupees and permanent staying power items like the champion powers and also the special armors that you can't get rid of. This makes it so that rupees end up becoming your like primary resource of survival mechanisms, because the other side of the coin of having to strip off is that you still are going to have armors in your inventory that are going to get you back to a point in the difficulty curve that might be a little too easy. So I'm basically deciding not to put armor back on again unless I buy it, which means that your first stop after a boss is going to be the armor shop in Hatino Village, where you're going to pay about 800 to 900 rupees for the full soldier set, which is going to conveniently add up to about how much, well, not all of what you've been saving for one regional run in a dungeon, but a good chunk of that. You might get like 600 to 800 on your way to the next dungeon before you have to buy 900 rupees worth of armor in the town afterwards. But yeah, there's an economy to it now. There's a sense of difficulty, and these decisions are having to be made strategically. They still don't make a whole lot of sense, because if I wanted to take this challenge very seriously, I would save all of the dungeon bosses for the very end, but I'm going to do them in order, like normal. And on the way there, though, like, I am noticing that I do have to use environmental traps more. I do have to care more about resource and inventory management, and it's making it a lot more fun and compelling to do the small little stuff like clearing out monster camps that give you weapons from a chest. There's a purpose behind that now. Like, there's an actual incentive to smack monsters for 10 minutes when they're awfully overpowering, and you get a weapon from their camp, and once you have monster weapons and one real weapon, you're pretty much good to go to tackle another challenge. And it flows, it's nice. I'll have to see if it still flows and is nice and is challenging after beating the second dungeon, but I am okay with this. It's nice.
I think you should just fight bosses without any clothes on anyway.
Yeah, I could. You know, the
you need
game's
to
like,
do the Dark Souls deprived run.
It's open ended enough to
Just a
allow
club,
for this.
a shield, and pants.
Gotta wear pants.
Oh yeah, and
Covering that upper cracula area, of course. But
the bombs are getting utilized a lot more. I'm noticing a routine going, well, I have monsters chase me up a hill, but I will drop a round bomb on the top of the hill to ragdoll them out of the way and divide and conquer, and that's stuff I wouldn't have even cared about. You remember how in the very beginning of Breath of the Wild, you're like, oh shit, I don't have a gun. So you bomb a Stalfos, pick up its arm. God damn it, fuck. You don't even have a gun.
Have a gun.
Wow.
You don't
Do you
have
all those
a
Zelda
weapon.
games that you have guns?
A video game button press that makes obstacles go away. You don't have one of those. So you use one of your bombs, you pick up a Stalfos' arm, and then start beating the other Stalfos with it. It's stuff like that. That is happening more often. That's what I wanted, and that's what I'm getting, and I'm like, I'm pretty hype about this.
If you want full challenge, you could just also do it completely in VR.
Yeah, that's another thing. I have been popping it in and out of the VR mode, and it's blurry as fuck. You can't see your HUD well. Playing from that angling position where your arms are up in the air holding the controllers kind of hurts. It's so weird that got me back into Breath of the Wild, though.
I'm going to play Breath of the Wild for 40 minutes in Blur-O-Vision. The console version's so much better. I'm just going to stick with this now.
I did a side-by-side comparison of how Dolphin VR handles the camera in its versions of Zelda games, and the primary difference is that when you move your head in Breath of the Wild VR, the camera rotates around Link, and when you move your head in, like,
you can turn
janky...
that off, though.
Yeah, which... seems to defeat the purpose. It's a mix
well, no,
of
because
things,
you're still the sense of scale and being in a 3D world is still there. It's just you use your hands like normal to control the camera and Link himself.
The neck movement, I think, is real important, though, for establishing that sense of presence and immersion and also control. Like, I was playing Ocarina of Time on Dolphin VR, and you can use your head to substitute for Z targeting, for example.
Yeah,
you can
true.
follow...
It does become... Turning it off becomes more of like holding a giant 3DS to your face than anything.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. It's stereoscopy mode. But
stereoscopic.
The difference is in turning your head to rotate the camera around a centered focal point versus turning your head that turns the camera in the exact same way your head turns. Like that's one little thing that makes a shitload of difference. But that thing requires the game engine itself to like rework how culling is handled and frame rate optimization issues if you're looking around a busy scene, whipping your head back and forth fast enough. There's like deep level tweaks that have to be made to make this stuff done that I don't think a lot of players realize that Nintendo themselves seems to have clashed into head first without full knowledge of what's at stake and how to make it smooth and nice.
True.
Well, has anyone played anything new?
No!
I kind of want to ask you something, Matt.
Yeah.
So the beta for World of Warcraft Classic is now floating about out there.
Really?
And I kind of want to play it, right?
Okay.
But I'm wondering if my want is more that I want to play an MMO or I want to specifically play WoW Classic. Because I feel like the idea of WoW Classic in my head feels nice, but then when I actually play it, I'd realize that I can't deal with it without all the quality of life changes that have happened over the past 19 years.
Yep.
That
How
comes
is
out
like going to
Elder
RuneScape
Scrolls
Classic. Huh?
How is Elder Scrolls Online?
It's pretty freaking solid, to be honest.
Yo, if you get into it, I will hop along on that bandwagon.
Really?
God, I'm gonna download it.
Really?
Yeah.
I can't. You playing an MMO? That's weird. Even to test, even for a moment.
Okay, no, we gotta clarify that I won't necessarily. It's more like I'll be testing it. I'll be testing that bandwagon. Yeah, test.
Even to test it, that's pretty weird. I mean, you could just play it single player. It doesn't matter.
I remember, even as a teenager in 2004, World of Warcraft bored the shit out of me.
I really liked I got into it hardcore. I'd played it a lot in the past, but not until Mr. Pandaria and the Warlords of Draenor, and then kind of fell off during Legion. But during that period of time, I loved the shit out of that game. And Classic interests me because I kind of missed the boat the first time.
Maybe it's because I played a rogue.
You're not very rogue-like, are you?
I tend to like rogues in the Elder Scrolls.
Nice.
It's fun sneaking. But in World of Warcraft, it was like, press a button, wait a bit, press another button, wait a bit.
No. This is action combat. I can't.
I have not played MMOs with action combat. Like, my experience of MMOs comes from a frame of reference before all that.
Wait, you didn't play Guild Wars 2?
No, just Guild Wars 1.
Matt never got you to play Guild Wars 2.
He never managed it. He never sold me. He never managed to make it sound fun enough.
I never really told him to play, though.
Yeah, you never tried to sell it to me real hard.
Yeah, because you have to play games for your channel, and you're doing a video every week.
Well, that was back then.
I'm not going to get you into an MMO.
Now I probably have time to play an MMO. Yeah.
Every now and then.
And we got a hot potato in the house right here.
Hot potato. Yeah,
George, you're not allowed free time. You have to make a video every single day.
That mentality has led to a horrifying case of burnout. Anyways.
Do a Jim Sterling. it would be interesting to see you do like a Jim Sterling,
where
just talk about
3 videos a week. I rant about the current
he does
topic.
way more than that.
He definitely does like almost on average a video every 2 days.
He's got to have editors or something. I don't.
He does. He has
Yeah.
that.
Doesn't he earn like 15,000 from Patreon though? So
That's another thing I don't think people realize, is that for the past 7 years, I've done mostly everything by myself, like for the vast majority of everything you see on the channel. Like that, the repetition of that gets to you, kids.
And it's kind of weird because a lot of people don't realize this without jumping back into Guild Wars 2, which I loved dearly and would wish I could play Guild Wars 2 again. But nobody realizes how much videos infects George's brain. Like, when he's doing a video, that's it. He's not able to let go a little bit.
Yeah, it's because you're self-employed and there's no one, like, telling you you're done for the day. So you're constantly thinking that you have to always be working, which makes it impossible to relax, which means that a lot of time ends up getting spent, like, sitting at a computer, working extremely slowly, with a tab of all the distracting Trump news and social media drama on the other hand, and without, like, the set schedule and a boss, like... You need people in your life holding you accountable.
Yeah.
This podcast has been on a much more predictable, reliable release schedule than the videos. and I attribute that to 2 other people, depending on me to get it out. But I'm going to be using an editor next week. I'm going to incorporate them when I get my VR video out.
So if we sound shit, you know why.
Yeah, like case in point, a week ago I spent all last week writing this VR Nintendo video, and then all of a sudden got a sponsorship offer, and I was like, okay, I need to make it a more important video if it's going to be a sponsor. And threw that in the side burner and started rewriting another concept about QA employees, which should actually be out tomorrow. And since there's a sponsor waiting on it, that means that I'm not going to slack off and will not sleep and will get it done and suffer for it. So people who care about deadlines, who depend on you to get stuff done, who will give you money if you meet deadlines, it's a good thing to have in your life, kids.
Well, I've been playing something new.
You're the only one.
This is weird. This year we have turned everything around. It's like Bizarro Land podcast.
Ever since last year, I make sure that I play something new at least every 2 weeks. At least.
I have noticed, and I appreciate it, and I love you.
Yeah,
I have noticed, and I'm enjoying it.
Yeah. I make sure okay, I got to play a game for the podcast. I literally play a game for the podcast. This week it was a Plague Tale.
Oh shit! The French really amazingly high fidelity graphic visual novel, stealth thing.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Oh shit! These reviews are nice.
Yeah, it's I beat it. And the final boss is incredible. It's the mechanic of the rats and light. So whenever you have light, they can't go into the light. It's just weird to see. And sometimes there's so many rats on screen.
Set the scene.
Holy
what is
shit!
the game about?
This game is my. I'm looking at this is my jam.
Yeah.
How did I not
okay.
know this?
Well,
what's wrong with me these days?
Well, I don't want to set the scene because I don't want to spoil the story because the story is definitely there.
Yeah, but you mentioned rats and light, which sounds weird, right?
Well,
for anybody who didn't know what this game is about.
All right, you play as a French girl trying to take care of her brother that's sick, and that's kind of the motivation. So it's just you and him traveling to different places, and it's definitely kind of like a Last of Us, and it definitely feels like Two Brothers.
1300s France, it's a historical piece too.
Yeah, I think you would like it, George.
Oh man,
it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm getting shivers looking at this.
I think that was their inspiration, Two Brothers. A Tale of Two Brothers.
Two Brothers.
Because
this
feels
summer.
like it. It feels like it. When you get to use your brother, he does certain things. I don't want to spoil anything else, but everyone has a purpose, people you meet and stuff like that. The biggest, I guess, there's stealth you can upgrade. So there's like a little upgrade tree, which I don't know. I'm never really into upgrade trees where you have to scavenge in order to upgrade certain parts. I thought it was cool. I think it was needed for sure.
Yeah.
But some of the upgrades tend to waste your money. They're redundant because you get certain upgrades that defeat the purpose of an upgrade.
I also never liked how like a lot of games with big upgrade trees kind of start you out with a character that's not fun to play until a few hours into the game when the systems start making themselves apparent.
Yeah, this one was not bad. It's just learning what to do, and they trying to teach you how the game works through the upgrade tree. And I think once you upgrade the first, like your sling, you're good. You're good from there on. You can just upgrade what you want. Definitely upgrade your materials. Upgrade your bag. If you play this game, upgrade your bag. Hold more materials because you need it.
Upgrade your bag.
Upgrade your bag. That is the thing to do. I think that's I would have preferred in this game that you found stuff instead of an upgrade tree, because you're like looking around just to find materials like cloth
like
and
the
all
idea of like upgrading a little French girl doesn't really seem that. It doesn't seem.
It doesn't work.
Do they speak with a French accent?
Yes, yes. And the little boy is so cute, and oh my gosh, the way they design Lucas is you'll get to know, like, it's cute guy. Man, they did a really great job. I don't know how big the team is, but the game looks really great. It will kill your system.
It's also kind of a role reversal to have the girl leading the cute boy through the apocalyptic hellscape here. And
I think it does it for people who, want to try something different, like a woman leading. It does it great. It's great for a lot of reasons. The gameplay is solid, I would say, especially with the rat thing. The rat thing, basically, they can't go in the light, so there's a lot of mechanics around that, and it's definitely puzzle based. Like, there are things that are conveniently there, like, oh, there's a bonfire here, it's that type of game. It's very gamey when it comes down to those sections, which is fine. I don't mind. It's fun. It's fun to figure it out, because they definitely make it like a very simple. It's simple, easy puzzles for the most part. There's some that require you to kind of like really look around and pay attention. But yeah, the mechanic with the rats are cool. I wonder how they do that. You can see that they're repeating some of the animation with the rats. They just have it timed differently, but it's cool. It's definitely cool, because at the end it gets nuts. Do
you know
so cool.
how hard it sticks to the history? Like how accurate and researched and consulted they were?
No, this is what, 1300s? No. But yeah, they do mention history points, but I wouldn't say that's like the main drive of the game or anything like that.
It's a damn cool idea, though, like utilizing plague-ridden Europe in the shitty medieval times as like your post-apocalyptic Last of Us hellscape.
Yeah, it's solid. Yeah.
How long is it?
Like 9 hours.
Wow,
I think I will be checking this out actually next week. This sounds like a lot of fun to play in front of the GF.
And I gotta say, like 9 hours, that's an okay time. Mm-hmm. Like I don't know if I want any more than 9 or 10 hours.
I was gonna say, 9 hours for something like that sounds pretty chunky.
Yeah. I don't think I want any more than that. And it didn't feel like there was filler. It felt right. It felt good. It maybe like one section, but yeah, that was it.
All right.
Nice.
We got anything else before we move on to the news?
I played a little more of Descenders, the mountain biking.
The bounce your butt up and down hills.
Physics. I'm getting better at it now, and I understand the physics, and I've almost like opened up all of the areas. That is a good game. It is I gave it my recommendation last time I spoke about it, but I definitely do now. The more I play it, the more I'm like, wow, this is like a game where you feel your skill level getting better and better, and you can visually see it in front of you. It's a really good game. Hats off to those guys. I'm still enjoying that.
Yeah, I'm still enjoying Dead Cells. I played through that again. I played through it in beta. It was fun. Dead Cells is good.
I doubt people want to hear, nor do I have anything interesting to say about, Odyssey, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and Subnautica.
Can we just make it clear that you are still playing that game?
I guess that's the only reason I brought them up. Also, we actually talked about it in the Discord. Okay, no, there is one interesting thing to say, and that is that it feels like I've played 60, 70 hours of Odyssey. As it
feels
turns
like I've
out,
listened to you talk about it for 60 or 70 hours.
Yes. Like ever since it came out last fall, they went out to throw it into the Google Stadia beta test thing. Then they just straight up gave it away for free. But one thing I've noticed is that it actually is geared for short play sessions. Like I have played it on and off for the course of almost a whole year, but in like 1 to 2 hour intervals, which means that my actual total time in the Uplay counter was something a lot shorter than I was expecting. It was 37 hours. I've only played 37 hours of that game. How is that possible? That is not how I remember it.
Still a fair chunk of time.
Well, yeah, but it also is a little it's shorter than like Final Fantasy VII. Yeah, no, it's a fine
it's
game.
The longest Assassin's Creed game, though, right?
Absolutely. It's not even feeling like I've said it a million times before. It's not even like an Assassin's Creed stealth game anymore. They reinvented it into a looter grinder action RPG. It's a lot longer than your usual Assassin's Creed. It is not nearly as stealth-driven as your usual Assassin's Creed. The map and layout and loops are totally different from your usual Assassin's Creed. It's interesting that when Ubisoft went off and made their own pirate game, they started it as a new franchise, but when they went off and made an action RPG loot management game, they still call it Assassin's Creed.
True. Well, I look forward to talking to you about it in August, when you're still playing it.
Yeah, they just released a big DLC expansion, so let's see if I go through that as well. I don't know, somehow I'm feeling like I've had my fill and I'm ready to wrap this thing up finally. Yeah, wow, the story got real stupid, but that's a big spoiler. I won't dwell on it. But, honestly, everyone who's going into an Assassin's Creed game should expect the story to get really stupid, like 30 hours in.
Well, it's completely changed, hasn't it?
At least 30 hours. It really has. Yeah. This is not Jade's game. This is a different beast. All right, I think we have wrapped up most of what's interested us for the past week. Let's take a quick whiz and try to not offend anyone too bad when we go through the two big stories for this week. No, I don't know. These are easier to deal with. I got my hopes up. We might get it right this time.
We have everything you need to live the young, hip, jet grind radio lifestyle. You skate, you groove, you bomb bricks, and run from the man.
Jet grind radio on Dreamcast, ready for team.
Hello!
Hello!
And welcome back
Hello.
to the Dad and Sons podcast. We, of course, have all manner of news for you this week. Well, actually, mostly just associated by one of the most surprising things I've seen in a long time.
Oh, man.
Brand new handheld has been announced.
Oh man, this is the most like by game developers for game developers thing I've seen in my life.
And I love it. It's called Playdate. And it's announced by a publisher called Panic. Now, I know these guys, they were the guys that had funded Firewatch and given Campo Santo money to make Firewatch. So they obviously have some sort of prestige under the belt, but supposedly they've been around for a long time, and I've never really heard of them before.
That's what's so cool about independent companies that fund themselves instead of public companies that fund them with playtry. They can do like cool independent projects that they can keep under the radars for years, and it's fine and it's cool and it's good.
Staying under the radar is not always the best business practice, though. But they are also publishing Untitled Goose Game, which looks really interesting. So if you haven't seen that, check that out. But no, there is a new handheld coming. It is this dinky little yellow box called Playdate. It has a black and white screen, and it will. It doesn't have like physical games you can buy in the stores or anything. It has games that will be released in seasons. So games will come to you every now and again in a season for a defined period of time, I'm imagining.
And they're mysteries.
And they're mysteries, and they're kind of like little gifts that you get given, even though you should be entitled to having games on a console you bought for $150.
Oh, that's what it is?
The games specifically are being designed for it by some quite well-known creators. Some of the creators involved so far who have made games for it, I think these games are going to be featured in the season 1 of whatever this thing is. Include names such as Bennett Foddy himself, Mr. Getting Over It with Bennett Foddy, Mr. Quap, one of the best game designers out there right now.
He's good at fun control gimmick novelties.
He is. Zach Gage, who is famed for doing a lot of mobile stuff, a lot of unique puzzle stuff, kind of spins upon threes and stuff. He's a very good video game designer. And also Keita Takahashi, the
Katamari Man.
Katamari. So
Mr. Damachi.
And his game is the only one really shown so far with gameplay. And the game ties into this weird, unique control thing that it has attached to it. So it has a D-pad and an A and a B button. But on the side of it, it has a crank. It has a literal crank that you turn that controls the games. So, for example, in Keita Takahashi's game, which is about fast-forwarding time and rewinding time, you use the crank to make the main character run, and he can run forward in time and, like, do stuff, but you can't get past certain points without rewinding it by rewinding the crank and doing things to able to progress. Kind of like Braid, but very linear type, see how far you get kind of thing. But you use the crank to make the character run. Super unique, and the videos you see of it and the sort of mock-ups look really interesting. But you can get notified about future news for it later this year. I think pre-orders go up later this year, and I think they said there's quite a limited supply, but it doesn't actually release until 2020.
The funny thing is that I went to that Keita Takahashi art exhibit in SCAD, and I saw that character on a little video demo on the wall.
He secretly had already announced the game because nobody knew what this thing was, and he just put it up there as like a little experiment. But yes, that game is the one that will be featured on the Playdate.
And until then, it was like weird installation video art that like used a game engine randomizer to play a video of that guy like bopping his way through crazy black and white scenes. But it's surreal seeing that thing that I thought was just an unrelated art project actually be an actual game.
It looks really interesting, and having people like Bennett Foddy and, Kato Takahashi and stuff like that, really unique indie creators who make weird stuff already, give them a black and white screen with a crank and a handheld. This is going to be unique.
So I've noticed a lot of the game developers I follow on Twitter are super hyped for this. Liam, you're right here with us, super hyped for this.
I have signed up to be able to pre-order it if I can possibly get hold of it. I just find the idea of making games for this so fun.
Yeah, and that's, I think, the biggest difference between Matt and me and you, is that those are the thoughts going through your head.
Yes.
And the thought going through my head is, okay, what do I do when I'm done playing the season 1 for $150?
100%. Don't get me wrong. This is not going to be a commercial success, and it is not going to be a games handheld. It is I want to say it's almost like a coffee table video game art book.
Yeah, something that you keep on a table that the guests play with for a few minutes in between conversations.
It is like unique little pieces of tech that you just have as like people who buy like ergonomical industrial design pieces for fun. Mm-hmm. It's like that.
So Matt,
it's more of a piece of art than it is a video game handheld.
How do you feel? How hyped are you for the upcoming launch event of the year?
I would go over someone's house and play it. I would not buy this. I think it's cool. Yeah, I think it's cool, but I just don't have any interest in purchasing this one at all.
I will spend
it's $150 for a little thing.
Yeah, it's $150, which
you're paying for the games too, obviously.
Yeah, I think all the games you get, I think from now and forever are free. So
I will spend $3,000 to visit Liam in Japan, where I will play with his $150 Playdate handheld gaming device.
Yeah, it will probably be 2 hours to play all 6 games or something like that for a season.
Yeah, if that.
Yeah, if that, right? Then that's it. You're done.
It is really intriguing, like, reading about some of the stuff they wanted to do with this. Like, right now, Edge magazine in the UK, one of the most famous video game magazines, they have, like, the big expose on this thing and the world exclusive, and it looks really pretty and stuff like that. And Jen Simpkins, the lady who interviewed them about it, they asked, like, if there was any additional secrets. They let spill that one of their prototype ideas was that you would play all of the games in black and white, and then the last game of the season would have you actually open the console up. Take out the black and white screen, and then behind it the whole time would have been a color screen.
No way.
And the last game would have been a color screen game.
No way.
See, doing stuff like that is why it interests me.
That's cool.
So yeah, it's like turning a portable game console into a little puzzle box.
It's just like a thing full of secrets, I think. Yeah.
It's a very Nintendo philosophy.
It's
going backwards in time with very cheap components and trying to make a premium experience out of that.
It's a very brave thing to do, for sure.
I wonder how they're funding this thing. Because, like you said, there's no way.
So I imagine they're pretty self-funded.
So revenues from Firewatch and Goose Game?
Yeah, I mean, Firewatch sold gangbusters, but obviously
they gotta have investors.
Yeah, they're making it in tandem with like a Swedish industrial company called like Teenage Designs.
Of course, they would be Swedish.
Yeah, of course.
It's just like a simple, solid color square rectangle. Of course, it's Swedish.
At least it doesn't have like an IKEA-based name, like the Strohmenberg or something.
Oh man, what a time to be alive! It's fucking weird.
I want to know if you can program your own games for it. Like if it has the ability to like make your own games for it, and people can like have game jams where they spend like a day making games to that thing, and you can just put them on there automatically. I am 1000% in.
Or if they do a Nintendo Labo Garage kind of mode, where it's a user-friendly visual programming flowchart that you can click and drag functions around, and that would be nice.
Cool.
It would be a cool thing to buy your kids then, if you could like spin it as an educational teach them coding tool.
I just want to try that crank, man. I want to crank it.
That looks like a fun crank, not gonna lie. I just don't know.
Soldier Boy was selling his own handhelds. If he was just waiting, he could have got one that he can literally crank it.
Little did we know all this time that the Soldier Boy and the Soldier Boy Plus were actually cheap, shitty Playdate ripoffs.
Crank that.
Crank it, kids.
Oh no! This should have been the Soldier Boy, right?
Yeah, it should have been
the Soldier Boy, the handheld.
So yeah, it's weird that I totally understand the hype from game developers whose profession and passion is playing around with stuff you can feel and interact with tactilely. But my opinion of this is just so, like, I am not invested, but I am empathetic to the people who are gonna be its fans. I know they're gonna have fans of this thing. I know those fans are gonna have the time of their life with this things, but it seems like it's not really marketed to me.
Oh god, no. No, this is not marketed to anybody listening to this right now. It is something that will be super limited. Most people who are interested probably won't even be able to get like their hands on it. There'll be like, I don't know, 10,000 of them made, and all of the famous video game developers that you know will have one, and they'll be the only people who have one, and it'll be like a super unique, cliquey thing, and you'll be like...
Yeah, I wonder if that'll become a new stereotype for like video game developers. Like, if you walk into a game developer's house, you know, because they have a play date sitting on the coffee table.
Well, it's funny you say that, because I was kind of giggling to myself, because I want to... Like, I really like these people, but they are very much like the usual suspects.
Do they wear plaid and talk in big words?
They're just the more popular indie developers who you see quite frequently. All of them had like, just in unison, as soon as it was announced, had tweeted, "Oh yeah, I got to try this thing at so and so. It's amazing," and like, "Oh, we got to help a little bit by advising on this little thing," and blah blah. Like it's almost like every one of them had to have some small part towards it. And it's just kind of is like that laughable thing where it's like, so cliquey. So cliquey.
like getting your name in the credits of Obra Dinn.
Hey, that's different. There's like 3 people in the credits for that. There was like 20 people of the usual people who are like, "Oh yeah, we definitely helped out with this thing. Oh yeah, we definitely got to try this before everybody else knew." It's just really funny.
Well, that's gonna be fun to watch. Yeah, you know,
it looks good though. I'm looking at a picture of it right now. It looks so cute.
It's adorable. This little fucking crank is adorable.
I want to go on a play date.
Aw, that's so cute. That's everything about it is just cute. Anyways,
is this podcast technically a play date?
I suppose we're playing with conversational back and forth. We're seeing what reactions we can dig out of each other. You know.
Oh God.
For better or for worse.
There's a feedback loop involved. No. So the next big news story I wanted to talk about this week is a product that is certainly going to be more for normies and elitist hardcore console gamers who don't give a shit about portables because it's from software, but also it's going to be for normies because it's George R.R. Martin. George R.R. Martin,
so cool,
has written a blog post. I believe you were actually just talking about this very same blog post, in which he's talking about how weird it is to watch the Game of Thrones TV show wrap up asynchronously along with his book lines, and how he also just finished consulting on a video game coming out of Japan. Gamatsu.com has an insider source claiming that this project is internally called Project GR. It has a Norse RPG theme, and it's going to be revealed at Microsoft's E3 show. Games Radar summarized some other rumors that have been coming out over the year, kind of less solid, verifiable stuff, saying that it'll be open world, involve a lot of dynamic fightings over in-game territories, which is not the usual From Software Soulsborne format, which I think a lot of us kind of want to break away from anyway.
For sure,
yeah. So
well, I don't know. Last time they did that, they made like the other games they make that aren't so popular. So I don't know how successful that is.
Sekiro?
That's still Dark Souls combat-ish. I'm talking like Armored Core.
Had a niche following. What are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly.
Dark Souls was pretty niche until...
No, Demon Souls was niche until
Demon Souls was pretty niche. That's
out.
right. I remember playing that and like only a few people kind of like, oh yeah, man, this is hard. This is cool. And then Dark Souls came out and it exploded.
I'm kind of interested to see them do Western settings again, and how it'll be really fun to like point and be like, ha, that's a totally Japanese thing pretending to be a Western thing.
I want to fucking know how they keep making like a game every 2 years. It's amazing. They only announced Sekiro last year, and now it's out, and it's been out for a while. It turns out fantastic. Previously, before that, they made Dark Souls 3. Previously, before that, they made Bloodborne, Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls, Demon Souls, and that's all in the space of 10 years. And now they're going to make...
Don't they have 2 core teams that alternate, work on the same time on different projects?
Yeah, but I imagine the core team is
thing.
like probably 50 people, which is pretty small for like these types of games.
Fans made speculations over the credits rolls in Dark Souls 2 compared to Dark Souls 1, and evidently the theory is that they had their A team working on Dark Souls, their B team working on Dark Souls 2, while their A team was working on Bloodborne. Then their A team went back to Dark Souls and vice versa, and Wait,
so is Sekiro made by the B team?
I don't know the details of that one, but the assumption is that they have 2 teams.
Give the B team a chance.
They actually released a game a year apart from each other. Dark Souls in 2014, Bloodborne in 2015, and Dark Souls 3 in 2016.
And then they made, what is it, Desireen, the VR game as well?
Yeah.
And 18.
Holy shit.
Sekiro on that, yeah. that was a heck of a 3 years right there. And all of them were pretty successful, I would say. Pretty successful.
And then Sekiro and this, like, being announced immediately and having been in development for quite a while. I mean, to have George R. R. Martin on board must mean that it's pretty far in development.
Maybe this is what happens when they promote Hidetaka Miyazaki to president. They just get banger after banger project on the green lights.
It's weird because he most definitely has less time to actually work on the games then.
This reminds me of Platinum Games' heyday, when they were coming out with like Bayonetta, Revengeance, the Transformers,
Vanquish.
Like, yeah, year after year after year, just like super solid, polished hits.
And what are they now? Transformers.
I think
Avatar.
Someone might have gotten shuffled around that might have taken the steam out of their sales. But From Software has steam in their sales right now, and that's really cool to see.
Because they're selling and they can hire people.
You think this From Software game will have an easy mode?
No.
Why the fuck not? Especially if it's appealing to Game of Thrones fans. Like, that's breaking into a whole new market of people who aren't going to be as good at games.
It was supposed to be a laugh. It was supposed to be a laugh and a move on. It was supposed to be a conversation.
Matt.
Yeah.
You can't laugh about that.
What do you mean?
It's deadly serious. People have died.
Matt,
died over an easy mode?
Everything is black and white, you know that.
Matt.
Oh, shit.
Listen, I joke about everything. I don't give a damn about political correctness and what they're telling me I can and can't say. But you do not joke about getting good at Dark Souls.
Oh God, George is going nuts.
That is just a line. Do not cross.
George is going nuts.
Ow, shit, I bumped the mic.
I've never heard George do a voice.
He was just possessed by every cosplayer who's dressed up as Solid Snake over the years.
Don't make fun of gamers.
Fight for my rights.
All right. So now that we've probably offended people again, let's talk about the people we offend. We got audience participation segments out the wazoo in this episode.
Liam, what George just did is made us all even now. Now people hate George, so now we're all hated.
Dude, I hope so. I feel guilty that I don't get as much flack as you guys. Like, I genuinely do.
I never read the comments, so I'm it's dodging.
Okay, fine. Let me say something that'll maybe get people to hate
Please,
me.
For the love of Christ, cut this shit out.
Ban felonies. Release all murderers from prison.
Wait. We should explain that although we have our brand new quickfire Twitter segment where you can fire your cannons at us and blast George like it's 97 in the face, we of course are still taking your emails for more long form, more quizzical, more
Tax the poor, subsidize the rich,
more thoughtful questions.
kick your mom,
So send them to dadandsonspodcast@gmail.com if you have a long question.
be mean to a baby,
Letters to the Dadator. Go away. Take it away, George boy.
make a dog sad, hate me for some reason, please.
Hit me more.
So our first question for this week comes from Brandon J.
Brandon the King.
Brandon J asks, I'm currently
Bars.
training to be an airline pilot and figured it's now time to get a flight sim. But I was looking around on the Steam store and noticed a graveyard in this genre. Other than the duopoly of X-Plane and Microsoft Flight Sim X, the storefront is littered with low-quality products. Where have all the flight sims gone? What forces caused them to stop being prestigious projects? And why has the overall fidelity plateaued? How the heck is Farm Simulator more popular than Flight Simulator?
1, you get to drive a tractor.
Hell yeah!
2 is a really complicated airplane. That's your
So-
answer.
I again want to apologize and take all flack for picking and choosing questions here, because this is something that appeals to me, because I was really into flight simulators as a kid and went through a similar process.
Time to take a break, Matt.
Yeah,
Yep.
see, this is another thing I feel really guilty about. Matt, how you doing there, buddy?
Okay, I'm doing okay. I played my uncle had a flight sim, but he only had a HOTAS.
Everyone had those uncles in the 90s,
Did
yeah.
he look at Nintendo as well?
A hot ass. Yeah.
He had a hot ass?
He had a hot ass. He didn't have
Hell
the
yeah,
full setup.
hot-ass
Like
uncle.
these dudes, let me tell you, I've built a computer for some of these dudes, and they buy everything, and they hook it up to the flight sim. The best one that's out. I think it was similar. to the Flight Simulator X. There might be an open source one out there somewhere. I don't know, but yeah, they go crazy for it. But I think those types of people are very. They're not around. Yeah, there's not a lot of
One
them.
thing I
So-
want to also point out is the mass appeal of piloting seems to have gone down as well. Flight simulators used to be a much more casual, mainstream genre than super hardcore stuff. Like if you go back to the early 90s and play Red Baron or the stuff that later became really complicated space sims like Wing Commander. There are flight sims on the Nintendo Entertainment System. There was a big appeal behind flying. I mean, there still is, but around the turn of the 80s is when supersonic fighter jets started to come into production, and there was the Gulf War and Operation Desert Storm, which were air wars where America suffered little to no casualties because they just bombed the shit out of people. And that stuff had a mystique and an appeal to it. Then Top Gun came out around the turn of the 80s too. And when I was a kid, everything about that lifestyle and those machines had this nationalistic, patriotic allure to them that was extremely appealing to a kid. Also, flying is just damn cool by itself. But as the years waned on and the militarism behind it waned as well, the fan base also started having some very contradictory desires of wanting flight sims to both be incredibly more complicated but also still fun to play. And I think those are all factors that have to be considered when trying to pinpoint how and why the genre did not retain its popularity over the past 2 decades.
Yeah.
I've never played a flight sim in my life.
Really?
I know they are like
It's-
a niche thing, but
Yeah, it's pretty niche.
just
I remember it took a while for me to get it up off the ground.
Thing to keep in mind is that the super serious hardcore flight simulators make a challenge out of just landing and taking off. And those are the kinds of games that kind of dominated the end of that genre's popularity up to and including its current existence in the market. Whereas, if you go back to the 90s, a lot more combat simulators were the primary jams and market leaders, and those are fun. Those like focus on dogfighting off of like how to break the trap of constantly flying in a circle around an enemy. And there's like strategic things to consider of your maneuvers that seem to break that never-ending loop of constantly being at your bad guy's tail. There's some really interesting things that can go on in a three-dimensional dogfight in which inertia has to be maintained and turning radiuses are low that games really can tap into nowadays that they don't oftentimes do. Like Sid Meier made a turn-based flight combat strategy game where you input maneuvers and decide whether or not you want to fall back on the basic just circle around each other forever. There's a nice stasis to that, and it's it really does make me a little sad and excited. You can hear it in my voice about how much potential there is there nowadays. Man, Ace Combat had me super hyped.
There's always Ace Combat.
Yeah, there's always been Ace Combat. Ace Combat, I feel, is like a representative of what more normie flight sims used to look like back in the 90s. Like, they really did skirt the arcade line more than I think people give them credit for.
Well, congrats, Brandon. Hopefully you get your pilot license. I have a friend who went to be a mechanic for airplanes, and he graduated. So good luck.
If you're training to be a pilot anyway, wouldn't you be like using really high-tech flight sims anyway?
Yeah, which limits the market further.
Yeah.
Ah, okay. Shouldn't complain then.
Yeah.
Get a chance to play with like $1 million equipment instead.
I still want to see my like AAA production values arcadey pseudo flight sim, but made for VR that can be played on a controller that you sit in your chair. And Ace Combat may be that. Yeah, I really do need to give AC7 a whirl. But reviews were not good enough for me to pick it out on launch. Reviews were good enough for me to wait for a sale. So I'll be seeing that eventually. It was like low 80s, high 70s.
That's pretty damn good for a combat dogfighting game. Supposedly the VR mode is pretty fantastic.
It's sitting at a flat 80. Well,
that's pretty amazing for an Ace Combat series game.
The other thing is that I can plug it into Vorpex and play the actual campaign the way it wasn't meant to be played in VR. But yeah,
and have the knuckles and be able to use your fingers to flip switches.
I'm wondering what a dogfighting game would have to do to get that be in the 90s though. Like, what is it? I'd have to play to find out. But what is keeping it from reaching that next
having a cheesy
notch.
Japanese story. I mean, Ace Combat is ultimately an anime dogfighting game with CGI graphics.
Yeah, I love that trailer where there's a like very serious BBC news announcer who looks at the screen and is like, tensions were rising today in the Balthazar plains of the Kingdom of Amalfia as prisoners of war were escorted.
Flat texture of a dog in it, which is beautiful.
Wow.
It's great.
Would you guys fly a plane?
Oh, hell yeah. That was one of my childhood dreams.
I can't even handle the roller coasters at Six Flags.
That might be what I do after YouTube. I don't know. I gotta do something.
I would wiggle the joystick around while the pilot is still firmly in control.
That's how you learn. I had one of those uncles as a kid, and this uncle actually owned an airplane that they rented a space at a local hangar, and they took me on a little joyride around some Georgia topography. It was scary as hell, but I was having the time of my life. If I die in a plane crash, I think I'm pretty all right with that. That's a pretty cool way to go. So I've never felt scared of being a pilot.
Send all sponsorships for cross-country cons to dadandsonspodcast@gmail.com.
Man, planes are cool. Sorry, my mind is wandering about how cool planes are. This is something that stuck with me. Planes are fucking awesome.
Well,
I
I feel
love
sorry for the
planes.
next guy or person who's asking questions then, because you're just gonna.
Dear.
It's just gonna be a downer for you, George, isn't it?
Yaneth asks, apparently in the 80s, KFC ran a Christmas-themed ad in Japan, and to this day, the Japanese eat KFC on Christmas. That's actually not what Yaneth asks. He just linked to that. What Yaneth asks is, explain that, Liam.
It's pretty much as you put it. KFC somehow convinced everybody in Japan that eating KFC would be the right thing to do on Christmas Day. Kind of like how Coca-Cola turned Father Christmas red when he was originally green. Yeah, that's it. And now, and you'll be surprised to hear this, people pre-order chicken for Christmas Day. And it's not just KFC, because everybody wants to eat chicken on Christmas. All the combinis do it as well. So you can get like 12 family chicky breasts in a box for your family to eat on Christmas Day.
I remember...
Do you do it?
No, I don't do it. I eat fried chicken like every other day. Christmas is like, I'm eating like traditional food on Christmas.
Matt, you remember Scrib, right?
Yeah, of course.
When I was making my plans to meet up with Scrib in Japan, it was mid to late December, so I asked him, "Oh, you know what we should do? We should go to KFC and get one of those Christmas dinners." And guess what his reply was?
What?
Don't worry, man. I already got it reserved.
Scrib, you disappoint me. How could you? That's going full weeb almost.
So, guilty as charged, I guess, because during that trip I went to a KFC. I saw their little calendar
KFC
of reservations.
Japan fucking sucks as well.
Yeah, it was not great.
Oh, God. Like, the general
Still better
rule of
than the
thumb is
American
that
one,
fast food in Japan is usually better than the fast food you have wherever it is you come from, right? So
Right.
McDonald's in Japan is way better than McDonald's in the US and the UK.
It's
And
less
Wendy's
greasy.
and Burger King and stuff is pretty much the same, because in Japan there's a general rule that they cook everything pretty fresh. Japanese standard is a
better
little higher,
breadcrumbs,
all this
too.
kind of stuff, right? But KFC, for some reason, is just worse.
The dynamic with KFC I noticed in Japan is that it's greasier in Japan, but saltier in the States, so you're kind of damned either way.
It's just because Japan has so much fried chicken and fried food stuff that it just pales in comparison to even like Fami Chiki.
I also wonder if there's some desire to differentiate KFC from the rest of the fried chicken in Japan, because that was surprising. Japan really likes fried chicken.
Well, they do like fried salmon and stuff in KFCs in Japan.
Salmon. Salmon's good.
Yeah, it is.
So they do try and differentiate it in some way, but yeah. Everybody likes to dress the Colonel up in Santa outfits and stuff.
I can't believe that that's because of Coca-Cola. I Wikipedia'd it when you said it. It's real. That makes so much sense, and it's something I never would even thought about. Fuck
Yeah.
you, advertisers!
Yep. He was green, and now he's red because of Coca-Cola.
So I wonder
Wow.
if red and green being colors associated with the ancient spiritual tradition of the end of the year solstice festival is only because Coca-Cola started these ad campaigns in the like 20s and 30s.
Well, the red for sure, but yeah.
That would be my costume for Halloween.
A green Santa.
Santa.
I'm pre-Coca-Cola Santa. Woohoo!
Wonder when Father Christmas became Santa Claus. I remember hearing my mom calling him that once,
When
and
he
that seemed
married
like
your dad.
Father Christmas? I've never said Father Christmas. It seems so weird.
Oh, it's the traditional
Father Christmas.
English name, so
See,
maybe
I've
Liam heard
definitely-
it more than us.
See, I've definitely alternated between the two of them a lot, like Santa, Santa Claus, Father Christmas, but I definitely don't say Saint Nick.
Normally considered to be synonymous with American culture's Santa Claus, which is now known worldwide. So, America got the culture victory, I guess.
I can't wait for Father Christmas to sneak into my house tonight.
Like
I
Shrek.
mean, Coca-Cola, man.
All right. Well, that's about
This
what
is
we
my
should
swamp.
what we should wrap us up on. If you would like to send in some comments, some suggestions, some thoughts, some feedback, some kind words, or not, I won't judge. Send them to dadandsonspodcast@gmail.com.
Also, periodically check around Wednesday and Thursdays, depending on which one of us has messed their schedule up, to see if George has tweeted out a little Twitter segment thing. So if you would like to get involved with that and send us a message or something or whatever George posts, reply to it, and you might get featured on the show.
During the rapid fire, rapid response, fast fucking God. How
Fast
many
ads.
alliterations can I come up through?
Fast ads.
Gotta go fast. Time to eat ass.
Wow.